So that is one of the results of that. What can we do to supplement that? One of the stories I was telling a while ago was the beach. There were hundreds of bottles apparently on the beach at 57th Street, and one of the guys had sent out an email like, we need to see if we can increase the ward services to, pick up the bottles and clean the beach. And I just thought, no, we need to organize together. Let's just go clean up ourselves. We can go pick it up. We don't need to do this. And so part of it is organizing the community together to help pick up where some of those services might have fallen off. But the other is keeping the alderman's office responsible for staying on this. My boss, she was driving down Lakeshore Drive, and in between downtown and here, she counted 87 lights out along Lakeshore Drive. 87. She counted it twice because she said there can't be that many, but there was. And it's, these are the things that if they're happening in the community, we need to have a voice that's saying it together and saying it loud so we can get changes made.
So do you think that that's a function of the alderman not being responsible, as a function of city services not responding to the alderman? I mean, what do you think the responsibility was for something like that?
I think part of it is that it's the alderman's inability to work with other people and get things done. That is what the problem is. And so if you can't work with people and you can't coalition build, you are not going to get anything done at all, and that's what we've seen. We haven't seen a moratorium on charters. We haven't seen an elected school board. We haven't seen the parking deal. We saw that happen, and it's she hasn't been able to stop anything. So if you're progressive and you say left things, but you don't do anything about it, and you can't get it done, then you're not an effective leader. And we really need strong, effective leaders on the South Side. We really do, to combat what's happening in the city.
All right, so we have questions from the audience.
You all could come to the middle, line up, please.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. Okay, go.
If Jackson Park is picked for the Obama Presidential Library location, what plans would you have to replace all the athletic facilities that will be destroyed when the library is built?
So I know that the parkland is controversial. And I know when I was at the Jackson Park Advisory Council meeting a few months ago, it was brought up that the Obama Library might be coming there. What I said at that time was, look, I heard it was going in Washington Park, but that being said, come up with a plan right now about every single thing you want. What is your wish list? What is your dream list? Such that if somebody comes here and asks for Jackson Park parkland, you've got something to ask for in return. So my feeling is the Obama Library, it's not a zero-sum game. We can get a ton out of this that are going to improve our parks, that are going to drive people into our parks. I think this can be a really positive thing. In Washington Park the other day, I was over there at the field house. We could use some upgrades. I mean, this isn't going to be a bad thing. There's going to be tons of money that's coming in here and tons of resources, and we can dramatically improve our parks because of it.
Part of the thing that fuels communities is, unfortunately, what happens to their children. For me, it's always about children. So in a time when juvenile diabetes, juvenile hypertension, juvenile obesity are at an all-time high, South Shore has the fewest parks in the south part of the Fifth Ward of anywhere. North part we're fine. South part has very few. One of the things we've talked about with JPAC is forming packs and forming parks in vacant lots. How would you do that, and how could you make that happen? Because our children need more places to play, more places to exercise, more places for families to come together.
I totally agree. One of the first things when I was thinking about running, I was talking to youth and saying, where do you play ball? We have 2 places to play ball. Really? 2? You got 2? You have internet activity only at the library? We got to have opportunities. We have to increase opportunities. And I love the idea of transforming vacant lots. That's something that we can easily do if we partner with folks who are living around there. What kind of little pocket park would you like? What would you like to do? There is lots of federal funding from EPA to do this type of work. There's funding from groups like Community Progress. All we have to do is actually apply for that money, make our case for it, and then we've got a brand new park. It's not a difficult thing, and this is something I've been doing for the past 3 years. I would love to help you with it.
Hi, you mentioned earlier that you have connections outside of the ward. I don't want you to divulge them, but what industry are they in? And can any of them help develop programs for jobs for all ages, youth, teens, everybody? Some kind of program.
So I work with a lot of people. My background is in education policy. My family is a bunch of educators, so I do know a ton of teachers and education experts, folks who are really good at putting together resources for schools and putting together education plans to improve our schools with the resources we have. So that's definitely one industry. Another is technology. I'm connected with a lot of folks who are doing stuff with civic hacking and big data, and what that means is sort of making decisions about our communities using data. One of the events I was at the other night was showing a gentrification map. And on that gentrification map, it showed that Hyde Park from 1970 to now hasn't changed very much. It's generally kind of the same. South Shore, you look at that, it's one of the worst hit communities in the city of Chicago. Worst hit. And it's not even, that's data telling us that. So we can look at that and point to that, we can say, look, you've had 16 years in office. You want to keep going? This is where we're heading. This is where we're trending. So technology is another one. I think that once we connect our ward and connect our youth, make them really digitally literate, your world opens up. You can access resources that aren't in your city, in your block. You can connect to people all over. And so we've got to invest in technology. We absolutely have to. That's definitely one. And then the University of Chicago is my alma mater. But there are a lot of business folks at the Booth School, and a lot of them who are doing social enterprise stuff. So how do we do social projects that raise money, that make money? How do we invest in projects that do good things for the community? Those are my connections also.
Okay. Crime is a big issue here in South Shore. What do you think are the three top feeders into the crime, and what do you think that you can actually do to help reduce the crime? Beyond helping people with jobs, beyond helping with education, because there's a lack of accountability to the people. There's a lack of accountability. And so jobs are great, education is great, but what else as an alderman can you help to do?
So I think that the primary reason when we have a high crime rate is a lack of opportunities. And I think that's how you solve it. We don't solve it by adding more police, by putting more guns in our homes. We don't do that. That makes our problem worse. We have opportunities, which does mean jobs, but it also means mentorship opportunities, programs for youth, things for people to do, having like safe spaces that you can go to. So I feel like to address crime, you've got to have increased opportunities. You just absolutely have to, because you're not going to make a dent otherwise. Two, we need to have a different relationship with the police. This is not a ward issue. This is not a city issue. This is not a state issue. This is a problem across our nation, and it's a result of hundreds of years of racism. This is something we're combating and that we're undoing. So how do we have different relations with the police? We train them. We train them, look, this is how you deal with homeless folks. This is how you deal with rape victims. This is how you involve, you work with communities. These are our community's problems. What we identify, what are the community's issues with crime? Not what's illegal. You know, we are locking up young black men every single day for small amounts of drugs. And because they can't pay their bond, they're stuck in jail. That doesn't help anybody. That makes our society worse. It makes us worse as a people. We got to stop that system. So we need to address our laws. That's one thing we definitely need to do. And we need to be able to legislate. We need to be able to work with our policymakers to say, look, we're not going to criminalize our youth anymore. By the time I'm done in 4 years, I don't want to see any more of our youth in handcuffs. I'm sick of it.
My question is, the stores that's along 71st Street, as a youth, I go into them and ask for applications, ask for employment opportunities. And there's no application process. But every 3 months, there are new workers that look very much like them, particularly their race and ethnicity. So what is your plan when it comes to employment for youth? Do you have a plan? And if so, how did that look?
Yeah, we got to have jobs for youth. So one of the things I definitely advocate is funding. We have to have funding in the budget, in the city budget, every single year to employ as many youth as possible. We definitely have to do that. With regards to applications and jobs around here, I think if we connected the community a little bit better and talked to folks like, hey, what jobs do you have going on in your shop? What kind of people are you looking for? Get job seekers together. We could really find a pool of folks who work and live within the ward, who are supporting our small businesses and our local businesses. And for youth, I think there's tons of opportunities we're missing out on in terms of mentorship, especially with political leadership. We are in a state where our two governor candidates, that's what we had to choose from. Our mayoral race, this is what we have to choose from. Our aldermanic races, sometimes you don't even have a choice. Why are we not training our youth to come up and make the changes in their own communities? That is something I'm committed to doing, is doing a citizen policy school where I teach folks, look, you need to know this about economics, this about statistics, and this about communicating your policy. What do you want to get done? I will help you get it done.
Very good question. Hello. You know what? Very good question. I'm sure you've heard it a number of times, but
It's not working.
the mic was off. How would you go about changing the criminal perception that's in South Shore? I live in South Shore, and I've heard a lot about, people complaining about how Hyde Park is looking so fabulous, all these new stores, what have you. And I think people do feel slighted in South Shore. I can't even walk down the street on 71st Street because I have to ask 17 thugs to move out of the way. How would you go about changing that, and what are some of the things that you would create to make it better for us to not want to go on Halsted to Mariano's, but to stay in my community? Thank you.
Well, part of it's that we definitely need an anchor store. It's unreasonable to expect that folks are going out of the neighborhood to have to buy groceries. That's just crazy. Everyone should have access to healthy food, affordable food. That's one of the things we have to fix. And the thing is, once we bring in an anchor institution there, that will help all of the stores that are there, because right now they're dying. They are dying without an anchor store. And the thing about the downward spiral of light, when things start going down, you can reverse that. And when things start going good, they start going really well. So by cleaning up a lot of the blight that we've got, we're going to see some changes. We get folks involved in the community, get folks talking, get attention, get national attention here. What's the work we're doing down here? What kind of opportunities are we doing? What's exciting that the 5th Ward is doing? We should be the model for the rest of the city. Because you know what? This is one of the only truly diverse wards in the city. And think about this seriously segregated city. This is a little reflection of that. If we can fix those problems, if we can solve these issues, we're the model for the rest of the city. They can learn from us, because we can figure this out. And we don't need downtown, we can do it ourselves.